All right, gang. Good morning. Good morning. Let's get started. Let's rock and roll. It does not matter where the rest are so long as we are here. That is what is important. So let's get started. The first thing is this. I want you to just write down this statement. The statement is the difference between success and failure is focus. The difference between success and failure is focus. Write that down. I'll give you a second to write that down. The difference between success and failure is focus. Now think about that. It's a very powerful statement. The difference between success and failure is simply focus. It's not, ultimately, it's not about who we are, what side of the tracks we were born on, our race, our religion, none of those things. It really has to do with our focus. So just what I want to do is I want you to just consider some things that we're going to talk about this morning and realize that all of this is about shifting focus from what does not matter to what matters. So again, I'm just going to say this. The difference between success and failure is focus. And the good news is this. It is just simply a choice. See, in today's marketplace, in today's world, we can focus on the pandemic. We can focus on politics. We can focus on the economy. We can focus on the nightly news. We can focus on what the competition's doing to give away their business. We can focus on all of those things versus the things that we actually control, which would be our relationships, our health, and our finances or our business and what we do with our business on a daily basis. Again, see, that's just simply a choice. It goes back to my statement. The difference between success and failure, the difference between success and failure is focus. So we get to decide if we're going to focus on the pandemic, politics, the economy, and the nightly news, the 24/7 feed of negativity, or if we're going to focus on the things that actually matter that we can control, which would be our relationships, our health, our mental, physical, and emotional, and our business, and what we do on a daily basis to really execute on that. See, look, your success this year, and in fact, I would say that the first quarter has really hinged on your focus. So take a look at what your year has been like so far, because I can't believe it. Here we are. We are at the end of the first quarter of 2021. It's crazy. But think about it. Look at what you have accomplished so far. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And look at that within context of that statement of the difference between success and failure is focus. What have you been focusing on? What have you been doing on a daily basis? See, your success this year, this quarter, will hinge on your focus. So write this statement down. I want you to write something else down. I commit to focusing on the things that actually matter. So I commit to focusing on the things that actually matter. See, what I want you to do is take this idea that we've talked about of the difference between success and failure is just simply about focus. I want you to take that to a personal level and commit to focusing on things that actually matter. To look at your life and say, well, I'm going to commit to the things that actually matter. I'm going to worry about the things that actually matter. I'm going to focus on those things rather than focusing on the things that either don't matter or you have zero control over. It's so critical that we commit to focusing on the right things if we want things to change. We've heard the statement that if we continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, that's the definition of insanity. Well, we have to shift our focus. If we're going to do things differently, we have to shift our focus from the things that we don't control to the things that we actually do. So I want you to think about this. The process of thought, of really thinking, of being a thinking, intellectual person. It starts by asking questions. So I'm going to give you a series of 8 questions that I want you to write down that I believe that you should be asking yourself now that we're at the end of the first quarter of the year. So the first question is this, and I'll repeat each question several times so that you have the opportunity to write them down. But just listen to the first one. What have I learned so far in 2021? So what have I learned so far in the first quarter of the year? What have you learned as it relates to your health? What have you learned as it relates to your relationships? What have you learned as it relates to your business? What have I learned? It's an important question to ask. There's no opportunity to improve if we don't recognize what we've learned. And here's the thing, gang. Some of you might be saying, well, gosh, it's been a tough year, inventories are low and blah, 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 blah. I get it. But learning oftentimes comes from challenge. In fact, I would suggest that learning always comes through challenge. We don't learn through success, we learn through failure. We learn what not to do. And then when we try it a different way and it works, right? We learn. But there's no way to get to the right answer without failure. So what have I learned in 2021 so far? What's the number one thing that I've learned in my health, my relationships, and in my business? And here's the thing, the average person doesn't have these conversations with themselves. They don't. Again, here's what I believe. I believe that the number one conversation that we're going to ever have with anybody is going to be the conversation with ourselves. And great conversations consist nothing more than a series of great questions. So these are great questions for a great conversation with the most important person you'll ever have a conversation with, which is yourself. So what have I learned so far in 2021? What have I learned so far in the first quarter of 2021? The second question is this: what in my life am I no longer willing to accept? So I want you to think about, what is it in your life that's going on currently that you're just sick and tired of? You do not want to accept it anymore. It's not acceptable that it's going on, whatever it is. Your health, your relationship, what's going on with your business, your finances. I want you to identify each category, something that you are no longer willing to put up with. In each one of those arenas, health, relationships, and your business or finances. What's one thing that you're no longer willing to accept? So take a look at what's happened so far in the first quarter of the year, and you look at that and say, what is it that I am no longer willing to accept in each one of those arenas? Identify it. Because the only way to improve our circumstances is to acknowledge what we don't like and then begin the process of changing our behavior. Because again, the only way that things are going to change personally are not going to be for us waiting for things externally to change, but rather we're going to have to change. Your health is not going to change if you're waiting for something externally to happen. It's not going to happen. It's got to occur with you. And it has to occur, first of all, with thought, by asking this question: what in my life am I no longer willing to accept? The third question is this: what's important about money to me? It's interesting, the relationship that most people have with money. Most people, the relationship is one where it's scarce. Money is scarce. There's not a lot of it. And they look at it in a very interesting way. Money is a commodity like anything else. Money is a commodity. It's a commodity that can be exchanged for any other commodity. Back in the day when money was not a thing, people would barter. They'd barter a pig for a cow, right? Well, the good news is we don't have to carry a pig around now to get a cow. We can carry money around, but money is a commodity like any other thing. And what is interesting is that people have a very skewed perspective of it. For a lot of people, money is a bad thing. Well, I can't, a person's not going to look at a chicken and say, well, a chicken's a bad thing if I can exchange a chicken for, a hat. Somebody's got a chicken and they want a hat. The chicken's not bad. It's not intrinsically bad. It has value, and I can exchange it for a hat. Well, for a lot of people, they have this very negative relationship with money. For a lot of people, they think that money is evil. For a lot of people, they think that money is just something that greedy people have or that greedy people want. But gang, here's the thing. I completely disagree with those perspectives. Money to me equals freedom. And what is freedom? Well, freedom really is just doing what you want, when you want, with the people you want to do it with, as often as you want to do it. What's your relationship to money? Do you look at it as a necessary evil, or do you look at it as a commodity like anything else, and you're working to get as much of it as possible? See, what I see most people do is they will strive just enough to get the bare minimum just to get by. So see, that speaks to the relationship again with money. Money is about scarcity. Money's about just having enough. That money's not really about abundance, because they could never see themselves having a lot of money. I mean, imagine this. Have you ever considered being a multi-millionaire in your mind, just accepting that idea? How about a billionaire? Have you ever thought, I would like to be a billionaire? I mean, legitimately, I want to be a billionaire. Have you ever considered that? See, most people would never dare to consider that because they have a very negative relationship to money. You know, one of my favorite, I guess, mentors, even though I never met him, he's definitely one of my mentors. I've read a lot about him and studied a lot about him, was Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie, when he was a very young man, set this goal of becoming the wealthiest person to ever exist. His goal was to become the wealthiest person who was ever going to exist and then give it all away. That was his goal. And the cool thing is that that is exactly what he did. That his fortune, if you were to take a look at it today, you know, adjust it for inflation, would be about $340 billion. Worth more than Elon Musk, worth more than Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, worth more than any of those guys individually, and worth more than the top two combined. So it is interesting that the relationship that Andrew Carnegie had with money. See, for Andrew Carnegie, it wasn't about getting riches for himself primarily, although he certainly enjoyed them, but it was to amass this fortune and then to give it all away, which is what he did. I mean, over 3,000 libraries exist in this world today because of Andrew Carnegie. Carnegie Hall, because of Andrew Carnegie. Many universities exist today because of Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie had a very interesting, a very productive, very positive relationship to money. So my question for you again is, what is important to you about money? Is it just simply a relationship where it's just enough to get by, that scarcity mentality? Or is it one of abundance that you want to, as the good book says, to be fruitful and multiply, to be fruitful, to create more value, to have more than what you could ever need, to then have the ability to be in a position where you could assist others to give it all away? What a great place to be. What is your relationship with money? What is important to you about money? The fourth question is this: what's important to me about my health? I want you to think about your health. What would you like your health to be? What would you like to look like physically, mentally, emotionally? Because when I talk about health, I'm not talking just about your body, about how much fat you carry or don't carry. I'm talking about your mental and emotional as well. So what's important about your health to you? What are the things that are important to you that you would like, kind of like the benchmarks in terms of your mental, your physical and emotional health? See, again, there's no way to improve these things if we don't, first of all, assess, okay, what's important to me about it? Where am I? And then how am I going to get to the next level? So what's important to me about my health? And then the fifth question is this: what type of intimate relationship do I want? You know, take a look at what your relationship looks like, or if you don't have one, what you want it to look like, what that looks like so far in the first quarter of 2021. What type of intimate relationship do I want to be in? See, for some of you, you're already in a relationship, but it doesn't necessarily look like you want it to look. I'm not saying that it's not great, but is there room for improvement? Probably. So what type of intimate relationship do you want? Where is there room for improvement? And then question number 6, how will I know that my life is fulfilling? How will you know? What are the benchmarks? What are the standards? What are the things that you look at to say, well, if that's going on and that's going on and that's going on, and I've got this, this, and this, and I'm progressing in this area and that area and that area, that I know my life is fulfilling, that I'm on track. How will you know that your life is fulfilling? Let me state this alternatively. Imagine that you're 85, 90, 95, 100, 102, whatever ripe old age you're going to live to. And you look back on your life and you ask this question: was my life fulfilling? Did I do the things that I wanted to do? Did I accomplish the things that I wanted to accomplish? Did I try the things that I wanted to try? Did I live my best life? How will you know that your life is fulfilling? What makes your life fulfilling? See, I think it's important that we ask those questions. Where do I find fulfillment in life? Where in this crazy journey that I'm on do I find contentment? One of my favorite mentors, Jim Rohn, said this consistently. He said, what a great place to be both ambitious and content. To have drive, to want to improve, but also to be content with what you already have, to be grateful for it. So how will you know that your life is fulfilling? What are the things that you could say, well, if I had those things, that would be the essence of my life, that's what I want it to look like. We already have so many things that we should be grateful for. We should acknowledge those things. But what are the things that we should be striving for, that we want to improve upon, or that we don't have, that we want to have in our life, that would make our life more fulfilling? Maybe it is an intimate relationship. Maybe it is better mental, physical, and emotional health, so you bring a better version of yourself to the people you lead, your buyers, your sellers, your children, your grandchildren, your spouse, your significant other. How will I know my life is fulfilling? And then question number 7. What gives my life purpose? One of the most critical questions that a human being can ask. What gives my life purpose? What we know through psychological studies, through research that's been done, through book after book after book that has been written, those who have a reason to live, those who have a reason to strive, to struggle, triumph. It's those who have a lack of a sense of purpose, who just as a broad statement, just kind of go through life just letting the wind blow them wherever they perhaps will blow, like a leaf in the wind, ending up in no particular destination by design, but rather just simply like a ball in a pinball machine being knocked about by flippers and obstacles. What gives your life purpose? See, the primary difference between those who are ordinary and those who are extraordinary is passion. It is a distinct sense of purpose. Those who are highly successful, consistently, day after day, year after year, decade after decade, those people have a sense of purpose. They know what they are fighting for. See, gang, when you lose perspective about what you're fighting for, what's important to you, it is difficult to face the challenges. And the challenges become overwhelming. They become greater than the thing we're fighting for. Because see, most people just simply, going back to what I said in the beginning, fight to just get by, to just exist. They exist in that scarcity zone. So what gives your life purpose? Is it your children? Is it your grandchildren? Is it your significant other? Is it serving other people? And in what capacity? Identify the thing or the things and the people that give your life purpose. Because here's what I know. The closer you stay to those things and recognize those things and tie those things to what it is that you do in real estate, the more likely it is that you will pay the price to do the difficult work of real estate. I mean, here's the crazy thing. We've all signed up to be in a business where you're your own boss. You don't have anybody cracking the whip saying, you got to show up. Where are you? You didn't show up. If you don't show up, you're going to lose your job. You are the boss. So if you don't like your boss, look in the mirror, right? But we're in a business where we get to choose. So that's both positive and negative. Because man, it's positive if we've got great discipline. In other words, if we have a clear, distinct purpose that we know we're fighting for, that causes us to be passionate, to go out and do the difficult, the tedious, the monotonous things that people don't stand in line or in queue for to congratulate us and say, great job on doing that. This is a very difficult business. It is one of the most difficult things that I believe anybody could choose to do, because we choose to work with people, and people are difficult to work with. And yet, if we will show up every day and pay the price and do the difficult things, to prospect, right? To generate leads, to follow up with people, to present to people, to practice our skill of presenting to people. If we do those things consistently, we'll get an opportunity to lead more and more people. And the cool thing about being in the capitalist system is this, that when you bring value to other people, people will exchange value back to you. See, taking people to the next level, helping them get to the next stage in their life, right? Helping people get what it is that they want will in turn, in our beautiful country, give you what you want. Because it goes back to what we talked about, that money equals freedom. Freedom to choose what you want, to do what you want, when you want, with the people you want to, as often as you want to. And then the final question is this: how will I know that I'm on track? How will you know that you're on track? See, for a lot of people, they don't really know whether they're on track or not, because they don't have any goals aside from just surviving, getting up, punching in, doing their job, going to lunch, going back to the job, punching out, going home, watching some TV, decompressing, eating dinner, and then repeating the process over and over and over and over again, and stringing together weeks upon months upon years and a lifetime of watching television 6 hours a day. But not you. Why? Because you understand what gives your life purpose, and you also, as a result of understanding that, will know when your life is on track or off track, because you stay close to the things that you know that you want your life to be about. So again, answering these questions are critical to your success. These are the things, people ask me all the time, how is it that some people can be highly successful and others not? And it seems like they're doing the same thing. Well, they're not doing the same thing. They're just not. You assume they're doing the same thing, but they're not. These 8 critical questions are critical to your progress, to your journey to achieving the life that you want. This is your way, this is your chance to become extraordinary, to choose consciously to not be ordinary, but to be extraordinary, because extraordinary people have this conversation with themselves so that it permits them to focus on the right things, so that they can do the right things every single day to live their best life. Again, I'm going to finish with these 3 things. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them, but I want you to think about these 3 things. And let's see, somebody asked what the 8th was. Let me just, number 8 is what gives my life purpose? And number 7 is how will I know I'm on track? So what gives my life purpose is number, I think it was number 8. Doesn't matter which is which, but the last 2 were what gives my life purpose and how will I know I'm on track? So the last 3 things I just want to discuss with you is this. Your life, my life, any successful person's life has to be built upon these 3 things, I believe. Number 1, purpose. Identifying the reason that you are going to do anything, and especially the most difficult things. One of my mentors said, the 2 most important times in a person's life are the day they are born and the day that they figure out why they were born. In other words, what their purpose is. So understanding what your purpose is, it is critical. Those who have a purpose-driven approach, who are very passionate, are much more disciplined. And they're also happier, because those who are passionate tend to do the things that they want to do. And when we do the things that we want to do, we tend to be happy. So passionate people are more disciplined, they're more successful in what it is that they do, and they're happier. So what is your purpose? I'll just leave you with that relative to this conversation. What is your purpose? Do you know what your purpose is? Do you stay close to it on a daily basis? that when you start to feel down or less than confident, or you start to become pessimistic, do you know what your purpose is? And do you draw yourself closer to that purpose so that you can snuff out the negativity, the pessimism, the lack of confidence, and realize this is what I'm fighting for. This is who I am. This is what I want. This is what I want my life to be about. This is my purpose. You know, the good book says that without a vision, the people will perish. Well, that's the point. Do you have a vision of what your purpose is, what your focus should be, what you want your life to be about? Because gang, it's critical. And then the second thing is this: mindset. The single most important thing that we can do to set ourselves up for success when it comes to any goal is to believe that we can and to consistently maintain a strong, positive, optimistic mindset. So here's my question for you as it relates to mindset. What are you going to commit to build and maintain your mindset? If we know that mindset is the single most critical thing that we can do to become successful, to achieve any goal, then what is it that you're going to commit to and do every single day to maintain a powerful mindset? See, don't be the average person who lets the outcomes of the day, the random events, dictate how they feel. Because the fact is, when that happens and their focus, we know, is external, they're always focused on negative things. It's no wonder that 75% of the people don't like their job, and that a vast majority of people are depressed at any given time, because they have no purpose, they have no sense of focus, and they're not consistently working on their mindset. Have a purpose and consistently work on your mindset. And then the final thing is this: the number one skill that any human being can possess is their skill set of communication. So as you take a look at how you have done so far in the first quarter of 2021, ask yourself this: how good am I at communicating with people? Am I communicating with people? Am I proactively reaching out to people, to buyers and sellers? Am I prospecting? Am I following up? When I have an opportunity to sit down to them and present to them and talk to them about signing a listing agreement or a buyer broker agreement, am I exceptional at those conversations? Do I instill confidence? Do I instill a sense of respect and trust? And do people like me when I present, when I converse with them about those difficult conversations, about choosing me versus the competition, choosing to pay me 6% or 7% versus the 4% that's being offered by somebody else? How effective are you at the skill of communicating? The single most important skill that any human being has when leading other human beings is the skill of communication. How good are you at it? The greater your skill of communication, the greater income will be in life, period, regardless of what it is that you do. Those who are great communicators are always paid the most. And the cool thing is this, gang: you are in an environment, you're with a company that recognizes these principles, that offers training consistently to help you improve on these things. So again, it goes back to, what are we going to focus on? So hopefully these questions have caused you to maybe get refocused, or to get focused in the first place on critical issues that are affecting your outcomes on a daily basis. Because I know this, that if you'll focus on these things, work on these things, answer these questions, and come up with a very specific game plan as it relates to these specific things, all bets are off. You're going to achieve whatever it is that you want, guaranteed. I don't care who you are, where you're from, how long you've been in this business, because the great equalizer in this business is consistency at doing the right things. Regardless of how long you've been in the business, you can do these things consistently, and over a short period of time, revolutionize your outcomes. Because I've watched it happen for years. For years, I've watched those who are brand new in the business and just simply recognize the rules and stick to them, and earn far more than veterans who've been in the business for decades. So don't give yourself any excuse. Focus on these things and execute on these things, and realize your greatness, because you are. Okay, gang, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.